Innovation in the peripheral market is really appreciated by both people who are interested in trying out new things and new technologies, as well as enthusiasts who want to see what the next breaking edge or really cool thing that could come out from the peripheral market could be. Right here, I do have 3 of the new nTech skates. I was sent out all of the balanced versions of these 3 skates as well. But I just want to briefly talk about my thoughts and opinions about these skates and if I do recommend them to people or not, and who I would recommend each skate to. These skates were all sent out by Lethal Gaming Gear, so huge shout out to them. Just a real quick overview of what you do get. Each skate comes in a box like this with 2 alcohol pads, and I'm pretty sure there's instructions in the box even though I threw them away. And then of course you have the bag with the skates themselves. Each of the 3 skates are made out of a different material, and each of the 3 skates do have a speed and a balance version. The speed skates are marked with an S, and the balance ones are of course marked with a B. Each of the skates also do perform completely different on mousepads. I did find that I didn't enjoy any of these on glass pads. They were extremely scratchy, and overall I wouldn't recommend them to be used on glass. But using them on cloth was a completely different story. I use them on 3 different versions of cloth pads. I use them on speed pads such as the Raiden Mid. I use them on a balance pad such as the Samurai, as well as I use them on a control pad, my Saturn Pro X Soft. Overall, I did have favorites among this bunch. My overall favorite pick are the Ultem speed skates. The ones on my normal beast decks are the balance versions, but I did have the speed versions on my Beast X Mini, but I did replace them for Jade Airs a few weeks ago. Review coming out for these skates soon. The ACZs were also pretty fantastic. They worked pretty well on basically every pad I owned, and I didn't have many complaints about them. The TRZ on the other hand were very controlled. There is a range between speed and control on the website itself, but I didn't think that these skates would be as controlled as they are. I think by far they're the slowest skate I own, even compared to Obsidian Pros and Pro Airs. Even though the wall hack skates are made out of UHMW, these are made out of TRZ and feel, I'd say, pretty similar in some ways. You get that control aspect, however I do feel like the drag that these skates provide are far greater than the ones provided by the wall hack skates and Obsidian Pro skates. The ACZs, I would also consider those a pretty balanced and middle range option when it comes to the overall average feel of mouse skates. These are pretty hard and pretty firm mouse skates so that you don't get any freedom on other tougher pads and pads that have more texture. The Ultem S skates are kind of in the middle of the speed range. They also are a little bit softer and a little bit more forgiving on some of the pads, and just overall a nicer experience on the majority of pads I've used. I did put most of my time with these ranges of skates on basically 2 mice, the Beast X Mini with the Ultem S skates and the G-Wolves HTS Plus 8K on the ACZ speed. I did enjoy, I'd say, the ACZs pretty much overall, give or take, on most of my pads. These did feel pretty good on speed-oriented pads that had very low texture, and they kind of started to fall off when it became more controlled pads or balance pads with some texture, and the ACZs really excelled in that category. The TRZs just didn't feel good. I barely spent any time on these skates since they were so controlled and just did not feel good on any pad. I would say that these are probably the worst skates I've ever used from my opinion, since I really just don't like control. I put these on both on the Sora V2 as well as my HSK Pro Ace and just didn't really touch the mice after first impressions. So overall, I would consider these pretty interesting to try out. They are pretty expensive. From Lethal Gaming Gear, you can get these Ultem skates for $28 per pack, and it comes with 8 skates. All of these come with 8 skates. The TRZ, however, are sold out, and those are $23. And the ACZs are the cheapest coming in at $20 per pack. Cheapest I'd use in quotations just because this is incredible amount of money to pay per mouse skate. For the Ultem S skates in particular, you are paying a crazy amount of money per skate. You're paying about $3.50 per mouse skate. It does get a little bit cheaper with the ACZs coming in at just $2.50, but in comparison to skates such as any skate you can get off of X-Ray Pad from Lethal themselves, you can get those for roughly 25 cents per mouse skate. These skates, I also don't know how long they last. I didn't really feel much wear and tear on these skates when I was using my BeastX for a good period of time. So I can say they probably will last a good amount of time, and you won't have to replace them as frequently as something like PTFE skates or just normal J dots, which you have to replace relatively twice a month. I will have all of these skates linked down in the description below from Lethal, so you can check them out when they do come back in stock, as well as from nTech themselves. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, peace.